Newcastle United, for me, are one of the most interesting clubs this transfer window. You got one of the best strikers in world football, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, if not the best striker in the Premier League, in Alexander Isak. About a month ago, I did a video saying Elanga is heavily interested in a move to Newcastle. I said that Elanga would be perfect for the system that Newcastle you get that Swedish connection with Elanga and Isak. He would give real competition to Murphy out on the right-hand side, just like Gordon does with the competition he has with Harvey Barnes. You've got João Pedro being heavily linked. Of course, he's now at Chelsea. Brian Mbeumo, heavily linked. He's going to go to Manchester United. But there are players out there that can still come into Newcastle and be very effective. You got one of the best midfields in the Premier League, if not the best, Joelinton, Bruno G, Tonali. The trio are such a good team when they all play together. The centre-back depth for me is only a question because Shah's 33. Botman does have injuries or injury prone. Not injury prone, but he's had injuries. Dan Burns, 33. But if you keep Livramento, and I do think, I've said this before on many Liverpool transfer videos, and I'm going to say it right now again, I do think Alexander Isak will still be a Newcastle player come the end of the transfer window in September. And if you can add in Elanga to that front line, if you can add another centre-back to that front line, I think personally, Newcastle United going into next season will be a very, very, very good side. A very, very, very good side. We're going to break it all down. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. We just hit 60,000 subscribers. So big up to every single one of you. The support on this channel is absolutely ridiculous. Had over 1,000 subs this month. We're only 4 days in. Some videos hitting well over 1,000 likes. But the road to 70k is now on. If you haven't already, please go down, smash that subscribe button. Yes, you. Talking to you right now. Go down, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, and let me know your thoughts. Now, yesterday, Fabrizio Romano come out with a tweet regarding Newcastle United and their approach to signing Elanga. Now, Elanga divides a lot of opinion in the Newcastle fan base. I think he's a good player. I think he had a very, very good season last year. I think he has a lot of qualities that Newcastle United need. I think they need someone who predominantly has more pace on that right-hand side, can put a fantastic cross in. And when you've got a player in the box like Alexander Isak, Elanga can definitely feed those qualities. Romano said this yesterday, exclusive. Newcastle United have sent a £55 million bid to Nottingham Forest for Anthony Elanga today. Negotiations underway with Newcastle United now pushing to get it done. Now, Newcastle United fans feel a little bit down in the dumps this transfer window. They've been rejected by Brian Mbeumo. They've been rejected by João Pedro. You know, etc., etc. They haven't maybe got this player over the line, but Elanga is a very, very good fit for their system. Romano then followed it up a few hours later, essentially saying more on the Newcastle United and Elanga exclusive story. Club optimistic to get final green light for Nottingham Forest after a £55 million revealed bid tonight. Personal terms are close to being agreed. Newcastle want to get it done as soon as possible. Reports are coming out that Elanga wants the move. Reports coming out that Elanga, for me, reports coming out that Elanga has agreed personal terms. He's just come off the back of his best ever season as a player. And the guy is only 23 years of age. That's one thing that people forget. He's still quite a young player. Of course, come from Man United's academy. Joined Forest from Man United for around £20 million. In terms of the stats last season from him, he had 11 assists and 6 goals, which is, for me, a very, very good return. 33 GA in 82 games in a Nottingham Forest shirt is a very good return. A player that can come in, who's fast, adaptable, can play on the left, can play on the right, has a very, very good I don't actually think he has a bad injury record. You know, in terms of last season, I don't remember him missing too many games. Now, of course, I don't know why that's playing. Of course, you know, he's got his Swedish teammate there in Alexander Isak, and I think that Elanga, that may play a big part in his move. You've also got to remember um, that was only his first standout season for Nottingham Forest. He's on £25,000 a week. So Newcastle United can comfortably improve his salary. So that shouldn't be a problem, which is why personal terms are probably very close. You know, he's only just turned 23. He's got, I mean, that return is not bad at all. And when you put that in with someone like Murphy on the right, Isak up front, Gordon, Barnes on the left, Bruno G, Tonali, Joelinton. You've also got other players that I think will come in. You know, they've been heavily linked to Trafford for quite a long time. In terms of his stats, he's in the top 6% of all wingers in Europe for assists. He's compared to a lot of players like Morgan Rogers, Inaki Williams, Brian Buemo. You know, quite a few players are, you know, a very, very similar stats. But one thing that I want to bring up his two stats that Newcastle fans will love. Look at the clearances and aerial duels won. That tells me he's happy to track back. Interceptions, tackles, and blocks might not be high, but Newcastle United fans love a player who can get up and down. Now, I personally think if he agrees terms, the deal may be done in a few couple of weeks, I'd imagine. Now, the Alexander Isak situation, I do think, as it stands right now, Newcastle United hold all the cards. I don't think he will leave Newcastle United this summer. And I sympathise a lot with the Newcastle United fans because I remember this situation very, very clear with Harry Kane. We was in a very, very similar situation to what Newcastle United are in now. But I think Newcastle United, the fact that they've just won silverware, if they show the ambition to really go out, and Elanga may just be the start on that. If they show the ambition, they want to compete. Alexander Isak, I think, as it stands right now, will probably stay. He's a world-class goal scorer, world-class striker. His numbers are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane in a Newcastle United shirt. You know, joined from Real Sociedad back in 2022 for around £70 million. And what a signing that has been when you look at 73 GA in 109 games. And the guy is what, 25, 24, 25. Yes, he's 26 in September. He's going into his peak years. And if Newcastle United can hold on to him while he's going into his peak years, you got one of the best players in world football. A player that's wanted by Arsenal. Newcastle, of course, have probably been pissed off quite a lot, but not only by me, but other people talking about the Liverpool deal. I don't think it happens. And I think Isak will stay. And if you can bring in Elanga, bring in maybe one or two centre-backs and another midfielder, Newcastle United could probably go again next season and get Champions League football. Now, their pre-season is going to be very, very interesting because they will be playing Arsenal. You know, they are playing the Korean 11. They do actually have Tottenham. They do have Celtic and Espanyol and Atletico Madrid. Don't know why I put a Spanish accent on. Madrid. Their first game of the season is against Aston Villa. But their pre-season is going to be very, very, very busy. And it's important that they keep all their players fit. Celtic, Arsenal, the Korean 11, Spurs, Espanyol, and then Atletico Madrid. Then before you know it, first game of the season is against Aston Villa. But if they can bring in, like I said, one or two centre-backs, a midfielder, Elanga, and maybe someone else, you know, they've got Champions League money now. This is Newcastle are a sleeping giant. If they can get their financial situation sorted out, I honestly believe they will be a serious threat next season. You know, they're not a million miles away from where other teams are. Like, if you look at Chelsea right now, are Chelsea that much better than Newcastle? Probably not. But let me know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and I'll see you soon.